Smile. Breathe. And just remember, it's too late to get out of it, so you might as well go on.
Do you ever get the feeling that people are incapable of not caring?
You know, I'm screwed up and average enough that I could write a song that'll live on forever. And then after that, it don't matter. I am the king of gay chickens.
No, seriously, what the fuck?
Honestly, you're in a memory in your subconscious.
Fuck! Seriously?
I don't know what you've been told, little lady, but the rest of us start at 9. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Good morning.
Hey, Benny! Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
Is it gonna be like this all the time?
I'm doing a show, Isaac.
You are doing a show.
I'm doing a show. I should talk about it so that people
should
know
plug
about
it
it.
early in the episode.
I'm going to get it done
instead of the end of the episode.
Yeah, or me like having to record a separate message later on and like having to try and splice it in. It's absolutely
and it's like awkwardly sounding like you're not prepared for that extra message later on. It sounds so rehearsed. So new show. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing a show, man. So my new stand-up show. It's called Ravenous.
Great title.
We're coming to 2 cities.
Holy shit! It's a tour. It's technically a
I'm
tour.
already in one of them, but then I'm going to another one. If you're in Brisbane and you're wondering what to do for this 9/11, then on September 11th, you can come down to the Good Chat Comedy Club on Caxton Street, and you can find me there. And you can, if you search my name and the word Ravenous, you'll find the show. And then that same week, which is mental, we're at Sydney Fringe Comedy on the 14th, 16th, and 17th.
3 shows in Sydney.
I mean, we'll see. Okay. I am primed to cancel one of those.
At least one show in Sydney.
I've already called them and been like, I think we should do 2. Let's not spread this audience out any more than it has to be. And they're like, no, we'll leave it as it is. And then if we need to take one down, we'll take it down later. Like, all right, well, fine. But anyway, that's a good plug, isn't it? No one's going to come. But if you want to,
dude,
see me do an hour of stand-up comedy.
It's technically a tour.
It's technically a tour.
And it's happening in the same week.
I've done it. So I've done a tour before on my last show, but the shows were just 4 months apart.
Yeah, it was a slow tour.
Give it time to breathe.
Very, very chilled. You walked.
Give it time to
that
breathe.
That was the tour that you walked.
Yeah, that was my gimmick.
This one's the buzz.
You know, I can do a show in Adelaide, but I won't be there for a few weeks. Seen any good movies lately?
I saw the new Mission Impossible.
Me too.
And it is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like it.
Without getting into spoilers, I did not like it at all.
I got frustrated by 2 parts.
I love Mission Impossible, and I was very excited for this film.
What let you down?
Kind of everything.
Oh, what? You don't like...
With the exception of the bit in the train, which is in the trailer. You know, there's a train bit.
Uh-huh.
The bit in the train, I thought this is quite inventive and interesting. Outside of that, there were no big stunts or sequences that I got that excited about. Everything felt just awkward and janky and weirdly timed.
Okay.
I think the plot is a real mess.
Well, it's 2 films.
I think the characterization of everybody was just weird. Everything's a Dutch angle now, and like relentlessly, which this same director hasn't done before.
But there are a lot of Dutch angles in the original.
Yeah, I know. Don't care.
Okay.
I care about the last 2 good ones, and I wanted this to be like that.
The first one is a good movie.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's not what it has become.
No,
you know, and I wanted more of that. I thought all the fight choreography was very sort of tame and often just looked bad.
Well, he's
getting
old.
Well, not just him. Everyone. There's a fight on a bridge, which is a big moment. I thought it just looked like trash, and they didn't come up with. I was like, "Do you have any like good ideas for something to happen?" I guess not. And so, yeah, the villain situation we can't really get into without spoilers, but I didn't like
at the
any
risk
of that.
Spoilers, which I'm assuming people who listen to this podcast have seen Mission Impossible.
Nope.
Why not?
What?
If they listen to this podcast,
Oh, the
they
big
watch
Venn
movies.
diagram of the Airheads crowd and the Mission Impossible crowd.
They watch movies though.
Yeah, it's only just come out.
Okay. I love the idea of what the bad guy is.
I love the idea.
I know that that's going to be a thing now for the next decade or so. That's going to be the bad guy in a lot of stuff.
I love the idea of what the bad guy is,
Yeah.
but they haven't actually done it in this film
Well, no, 'cause
because
it's gotta
nothing the bad guy does. Like in this, the bad guy is artificial intelligence.
Oh, you just said.
They're like, we've got in this, the bad guy is what if computers but too much, but everything the what if computers but too much does is no different from what almost any other villain would do, just with a gadget.
Just quicker.
And it turns out the thing that makes artificial intelligence so terrifying, like I think the thing that's scariest about it, and the thing that will make it impossible to defeat, is the fact that it is distributed and there is no central thing you can just turn off.
Yep.
And in this, they've gone, but what if there was a central thing you could just turn off, and then Tom Cruise turns it off? I'm like, well, okay, fine. So just any other
But
action
they
movie.
put that thing in a very hard to find place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he'll get there later, and it won't be there anymore.
What a crazy twist.
I
So
love the idea
it's not
that the next
artificial
one is
intelligence.
literally just a movie of them going to that place, finding it,
Getting it
and
done.
clicking a button.
It's 40 minutes.
Because once they get outside of civilization into the wilderness to locate said place, AI can't do nothing. The worst they could do is send a couple of drones over.
Well, yeah, well, AI can do whatever it wants.
If you were in the middle
They'll
of a
just-
forest, how is AI going to find you?
Heat-seeking drone. It will know. It'll recognize the gait of how you walk from all the CCTV footage it has.
There's no
and then
CCTV
the drone will fly over, and then it'll think it'll know. It'll just read where anything is in the forest that could be you, and then drop down smaller drones with cameras, and then look and go, okay, there he is, and shoot him.
Yeah, but it's just drones.
What do you mean, just drones?
You can hide from drones.
No, you can't. That's the
Yeah.
thing about drones.
Yeah, you can just EMP it the whole way. You take like 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
And when the drone gets close enough, just before it's about to kill you, EMP.
Okay. Well, how many EMPs do you have on you?
3.
Okay, so they send 4 drones.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What if 2 come at the same time?
They send 25 drones. You know what I mean, though? Like, it's functionally, it's the same as any other action movie villain. And so,
You don't even act it.
I mean, I could do a big, long conversation about it. But by about halfway through, I was like, this is actually quite weird and bad. And I like Hayley Atwell, obviously, but I don't think she's cast in
I
that.
did not like her character very much in this.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not normally in the position of saying actresses should be younger in films, because that's like sounds like a pretty gross thing to be saying. But I feel like her character is drawn as sort of like a plucky young
Naive sort of.
pickpocket.
Uh-huh.
The fact that she's wearing sort of Dickensian pirate shirts and stuff, I feel like she's more of like my lord street scamp that Tom Cruise takes under his wing and inducts into this new world. But just because Hayley Atwell is about 40, it just feels like if you're working for the White Widow and stealing world-ending devices, you should just be a little bit more worldly and a bit more set up. You can't...
Or extra naive and young.
If it's a much younger person that the White Widow sort of plucks off the street and it's like, go do this pickpocketing thing, that would have made a bit more sense. But the fact that it's Hayley Atwell, like a full-on just adult, it didn't quite work for me.
Yeah, I get you.
So that's that. That's some mild spoilers on that.
What else you been seeing lately?
Well, last night, I saw, for the first time, Back to the Future.
Holy fuck, Knuckles.
Now, it came up in conversation recently that I hadn't seen Back to the Future.
Yes, it did.
And you and Ashley responded as if I was telling you that I ran over your dog on purpose.
What was a heartbreaking
And
moment?
I'm looking forward to when you get another dog so I can do it again.
It was a heartbreaking moment that you hadn't seen Back to the Future. One of the top 10 best films ever made.
Can you justify that statement somewhat for me? Just give me an insight into how old were you when you first saw this movie?
I'm going to say earlier than 5, and
Okay.
then quite a few times since then.
Okay.
I think the reason it's in top 10 of Isaac's top 10 films ever made is both the nostalgia,
Okay.
the fun. It's made very, very well. There's a couple of long shots. The opening scene's beautiful.
The opening shot is very nice with all
The
clocks
sets,
and everything.
everything. It's a pretty film to watch. It's a fun film to watch.
It's very well produced, yeah.
It doesn't offend anybody, even though it has the ability to do so. It's a very light-hearted, wonderful film. Did you not like Back to the Future, Sam?
Well, I knew going into it that no matter how much I did like it, it wouldn't be enough for you.
That's fine. Just as much as you like, as long as you had a good time. You did have a good time.
Look, it's not bad.
Correct.
and I do enjoy. It's funny watching that movie with. We're looking back on it in the 80s with nostalgia from now, while it is looking back with nostalgia on the 50s when everything was good. And I always think it's funny movies depicting the like modern dystopia of the 80s compared to 30 years before that, because like in the 80s everything's bad because there's like a porn theater and there's a homeless man on a bench. Yeah, it's not like in the old days when all that sexual assault was happening.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that aspect of it. I don't know what it turns into, and spoilers for Back to the Future. What it turns into being about, I didn't like how just profoundly aroused his mum is by him. Like I don't think I've seen a woman as just powerfully wanting to have sex with someone as Marty McFly's mother does with him in Back to the Future.
What about extremely horny teenagers?
It goes on and on.
Extremely horny teenagers do exist, though. And it's a nice...
I'm not questioning the horniness of young people. I'm questioning the artistic choice to have so much of this movie be dominated by a woman trying to sleep with her son.
She doesn't know that. We do, though.
Yeah, but we do. And we are who the film is for, you know?
Yeah, but...
Me as the viewer, the one who knows, I'm the one watching it. So... like having that as like a component, I think would be okay. But the fact that that's so much of it, and I do not care for Crispin Glover.
Oh, this is the best film he ever did.
There's something about him and his characterization of that character. He's irredeemable as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah.
He's an unlikable little dweeb who punches a man once and then like has a nicer car in the future and plays even when it's good in the future, I didn't like it that much. They just seem sort of smarmy. And it's like life's better if you have a nice car. I thought it would be about the core relationship between Marty and Rick Sanchez. Like I thought it would be which is like what that is, right? I thought their relationship was sort of the heart of the movie. Instead, what's his name? Christopher Lloyd,
Doc Brown.
Doc Brown is sort of felt like he becomes a secondary character for a lot of the movie, and it's just Marty trying to sort out his parent situation. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess that's just partly my expectations going into it, but I feel like that sort of got lost. It's hilarious that just a van full of Libyans turn up and start shooting people in the JCPenney car park. Yeah. And I know that's kind of like it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be funny on purpose, but also like a bit much. So yeah, I don't think I found it as funny as maybe I was supposed to, and I didn't buy its central premise.
It could be that you didn't get this as a child, and you haven't.
Well, that's part of it. It's never been baked into my brain.
Yeah, that could be a reason for not.
I'm glad I've watched it.
Loving it as much. I'm glad you've watched it too. Just because it's a good feeling to have watched. Back to the Future.
We have this together now.
Yeah. It is. It's a treasured film. And I think,
yeah, I mean, I don't get why it was so successful. Must be said. like it's not really saying anything about time travel, or it's not really, doesn't really have, like, it's like, we just have a technical problem that the car hit him instead of his dad, and so now his mum desperately wants to fuck him. And so we just have to fix that technical problem and then get a lightning strike. And so it's just...
But he also has to become confident in himself and not be a... Marty. And not be... not, what's it called? Take other people's words too harsh. Because at the end, when he doesn't race needles... Or is that the third film? That's the third. He learns that over 3 films. Okay. There are so many things that he learns throughout this entire ordeal.
Okay. In this one, I didn't feel like he really learned much.
In this one,
he knows his dad learned something.
That one punch
Crispin Glover learns the importance of punching. But Marty McFly knows the importance of punching from the beginning because he hits Biff the second he can.
As soon as you see him, like, dude.
I didn't like the old person makeup they all have to put on. Not a fan of that.
Well, don't watch the second one because everybody wears it.
Yeah,
because they go to the future in the second one. One thing I do like about the second movie, though, they reshoot the final scene of this movie because the actress for Jennifer changes in the second movie. And they reshoot the entire final scene, and it's the opening scene of the second movie because it happens straight away.
Because it goes, crank style.
Exactly.
And I thought my other big take is Michael J. Fox is about 24 in that.
Sure.
But to my eye, he looks older because Michael J. Fox has never looked any different his whole life. Which is to say, he looks great. Like he looks about 27 his entire life. So when I see him there, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what Michael J. Fox looks like now. So he must be about 50 in this. Which isn't a criticism, that's just something that happened. And the other thing I thought is it true that it feels like there's surprisingly few stories about this of someone just traveling in time, getting stuck, and having to deal with it?
Yeah, there's not very many.
No, I thought of
there's the Time Machine.
Life on Mars. Remember that?
Life on Mars.
That's probably the best one of like you just moved and then you're just here and you just have to live and figure it out.
Yeah.
Most time travel movies, they're traveling like every 5 minutes and they're causing problems, having to go fix those problems. Like, no, what if you just moved, and not even far, just like 30 years, and you just have to deal with that? I think we should do some more of that.
Well, there are several things where they're traveling a lot of time, and then they just live like that Terra Nova show, where they travel to prehistoric Earth as a way to solve the overpopulation of the Earth in the future. They discover that time travel exists, but they can only send people to one specific location, prehistoric, so dinosaur times.
So they all get cometed at a certain point?
Well, at some point, we all get cometed, because there's no telling what's in the cosmos.
But it's weird if you know when it's going to happen.
But it'd be like however many millions of years after, because the dinosaur period was several hundreds of millions of years worth of time.
I guess.
And
but like
maybe their assumption is that humans
of
the future will eventually be able to space travel. They can give that technology to now humans of the past. And space travel exists so you can escape that sort of shit. But it's a one-way time bridge.
Yeah.
And you're literally, it's just a destination you go, like a refugee. It's just overpopulation of our Earth. Yeah. Just send some people back into the past.
Into dinosaur times.
But the village that they make in the past is like maybe 200 people in it. Like, it's not a lot of people.
That solved that problem.
Filmed in Queensland.
Oh, okay.
Got 1 season.
Guys, I've got a solution to the overpopulation problem. We're going to send 200 people into dinosaur times. Well, yeah, I mean, that'll solve the problem for this apartment block. It's not so good for, like, I don't know, India. That would be horrifying if that became a reality, because people would just be forced into it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
But you'd have also no way of knowing if it is safe on the other side of the thing. 'Cause, like,
well, I'd say
the best they could do is carve some shit on a rock and hope that rock doesn't move for the next 150 million years.
Yeah. You know the problem is with this idea? It's complete fucking nonsense. And so that's why I don't want to think about it anymore. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Exceptional Thieves. This is a podcast where Isaac and I review and rewrite movies. I'm Sam.
I'm Isaac.
And this is the latest episode in our special series, Turns of Frase.
Oh, great title. Great
title. Didn't take long to think of. Where we are watching and reviewing the entire filmography of Brenton Fraser, the king of film. Today we're talking about Airheads. 1990-somethings.
Four-ish?
I think four.
Is
it four? It is four. We've broken into 1994 with this
hit.
With this August
Airheads.
release.
I like
big
release more.
Release. That's how Sean Connery would say it. Big summer movie Airheads, starring leading man Brendan Fraser,
Damn.
secondary man Steve Buscemi, tertiary man Adam Sandler. Pretty good lineup.
Yeah.
You feel like you're on solid ground
A
here.
solid threesome of bros.
Yeah.
Which Adam Sandler is quite underused, I think.
Yeah, well, this is him. He's very unproven at this point.
True.
This is, I made a note of it. He's done Going Overboard, so who cares? Shakes the Clown, and then he's in Coneheads. But he hasn't established himself as a comedy presence yet. He's
just doing stand-up at this point.
Yeah, and he's 1 year away from Billy Madison at this point.
So close.
Billy Madison. Then it's Happy Gilmore. It's The Wedding Singer. It's Chocks Away at that point. But this is him just pre his release, and kind of true for Brendan Fraser as well. I guess he's just before his big explosion into
like we are aware
goofy comedies.
Of how great he is as an actor before this point, but the world at large.
Indeed.
At this time frame,
he's got a solid body of work as a dramatic, serious actor, which is why he's so primed to become George of the Jungle, I guess. And so this is Airheads. It's directed by, well, the writer is Rich Wilkes, who is the sole credited screenwriter for Triple X.
Oh my god!
The creator and writer of the Triple X franchise. So
all three of them?
Good for him. I think he's the only writer for the first one, and then he's credited on the others in some way.
Oh, dude, how did your career fall apart? I wrote Triple X.
I'd love to watch Triple X again because I remember seeing that.
I tried recently
as a young teenager, and I was like, "This is sick." Yeah. Guns, just cars, and yeah.
The new one was on a streaming service recently, and I'm like, yeah, I could maybe.
Oh, The Return.
Maybe watch those again.
Of Xander.
And I tried.
Couldn't even get through it.
They're so shit.
Wow. Okay.
They're so bad.
Yeah, I think there's a real.
It's like I don't.
There's a wedge of movies from the 2000s that there's just no nostalgia for.
There was a film I watched.
And so the fact that they're bad means there's just nothing in it for you.
Irredeemable.
Like a bad 80s or 90s movie, you're going like, oh, the past. But I think maybe in another 10 years, 2000s will hit that. But at the moment, it's just cringe.
You know, when at school, it was cool to have your backpack on one shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. I still do that.
I watched a film a while back now, but it was made in like 2004, 5-ish, and it was about some people on a haunted island of some kind. Don't remember what it's called. What I remember specifically about this movie is that there was a young, attractive dude as one of the lead characters who spent this entire horrific ordeal with a one-strap backpack, like a double-strap backpack, but over one shoulder, and
while just running full pace away from ghosts,
from terrifying things.
Yeah.
One shouldering that backpack because it was quote unquote cool to have one shoulder on.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off so like watching it and watching this happen, I'm like, no, that's so bad.
Yeah.
Just that because it's a decision.
It is. So when you're running, to not go to two shoulders and tighten those straps.
When you're acting and you're being afraid of something, you're not going to be, no, I have to look cool right now.
Did he have a loose hoodie on?
He had a loose Hawaiian shirt on, showing off his chiseled abs.
Yeah, he did. With not with wife beater underneath.
Not with wife beater. Had chiseled abs.
Bleached hair.
And spray tan.
Bleached spike hair.
Spiky hair.
Yeah.
That kind of
spiky hair,
2000s Fucking
Spiky hair or just spiky fringe? Because that's
I
what it
don't
was for a while.
But there was the spiky
Just that fringe. You still gel the rest of
It's
the
because you
hair.
can wear a cap and it doesn't ruin your hair then.
I guess. You gel the rest of the hair, but that's just down like flat spikes, like thick Ross Geller.
Pushed forwards,
And then
so that
pushed
it comes
forwards
up in the wave at the front.
into a ramp, into the wave at the front. That's hair. Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. No, one shoulder is cool, but sometimes you do two shoulders and then you're doing normcore.
Yes.
You know.
If you're holding the straps.
And then you hold the straps and be
hold
like,
the
look at
straps.
me.
If you just let
I'm
go
going
of
to
the
school.
straps and wear a backpack like a normal human,
Then
life is better for everybody.
Yeah, I guess there isn't a word for that, is there?
Yeah, it's just
That's
life
just
is better for
That's just
everybody.
having a bag. We call that having a bag. I tell you what, and speaking of hair, there's some bloody hair in this movie.
Oh, there's some serious hair.
There's some what I thought initially was very wig-looking hair.
Mm-hmm.
But then I wasn't sure later on. I'm very bad at spotting
I think
wigs.
Steve Buscemi's hair is real Steve Buscemi hair.
He has some of the best
Adam
hair in the
Sandler's
world.
definitely real hair.
Adam Sandler he has a version of the hair he's always had, which is just like a skull cap of hair. He's had that hair his whole life. Looks great. Don't worry about it.
It does. He's great.
But Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi have long rocker hair.
I think for what Brendan Fraser is, I think it's extensions. Because I think Brendan Fraser
yeah,
had
maybe.
longish hair at this point.
Yeah, well, we know he
And
can.
then,
Yeah.
I think extensions. Because you can't grow your hair
And,
mid-shoulder length within a year.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, you don't have time to do this. Because he's doing back to back.
Exactly. He's successful acting at
He's
the
doing
moment.
he doesn't have time
Doing
to
cameos in Son-in-Law and shit like that.
exactly. And Steve Buscemi's hair looks glorious, Pantene Pro V. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline's makeup.
I love Steve Buscemi.
Oh, who doesn't?
He's just
He's such a
dude.
great, weird little froggy dude.
And sort of ageless. In
yeah.
that, like,
Well, he's like 10 years older than the other two in this. There's a 10-year age
but
gap.
he fits. You
Yeah.
know? It's great. Fucking Steve Buscemi.
Little Rango-looking motherfucker. And obviously his hair looks glorious. Brendan's hair, did hear it commented, it looks a bit dry. That's quite a bit.
Well, he's
sort
having
of,
a very stressful
sort of
life.
hovering. Well, not up to this point. I mean,
okay.
I guess he's got concerns, but he has the time.
And
if you're a rocker, you gotta shampoo condition your long locks because that's your look.
That's your glam.
That's your branding, exactly. So, I mean, no wonder he's not getting a record deal with those split ends. Now, Isaac, did you like Airheads?
Yeah, I had a fun time.
Yeah.
I did have a fun time.
It's
not great.
No.
But I had a fun time.
And I think it's not great for very specific reasons, which we'll get into. I think there's some obvious just reasons this doesn't work. I am set up to like it because I like these actors, obviously, and I love rock and roll, Isaac. I'm rock and roll till I die to
as
my
much
core.
as this is a movie about rock and roll,
yeah.
it's not a movie about rock and roll.
Well,
Not a lot of rock happens.
I think there's lots of rock and roll elements throughout it, but there's things they do that are very not rock and roll.
Yeah.
And are more just sort of school shootery that that sort of messes with the vibe of the whole thing.
But they're just water pistols, Sam.
With hot pepper sauce in.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they ever fire. That was one of my notes.
No, I don't think they do either.
Kramer should have got hot pepper sauced.
No, he should definitely.
So
Not
not
that
only
he was in this film.
yeah. So Michael Richards
Living his diehard dream.
is the John McClane of this movie, quite explicitly. And so I mean we can get into the plot, but yeah, amazing cast. Those three you've
Is this
got.
pre-Seinfeld?
Yeah, this is a year before Seinfeld.
Oh, dude.
And so you got Michael Richards doing his Michael Richards stuff throughout this.
He's
Pre-Seinfeld and pre-screaming the N-word over and over in a comedy club. I tell you what, of all the people to have screamed the N-word over and over in a public place, the one I wish hadn't done it the most, maybe, would be Michael Richards. But he did, And that's the world we have to live in, and we cannot shy away from that fact. Chris Farley, sadly, just a few years before he passed away. You got Michael McKean from
Underused in this film, Chris Farley.
Yeah,
For what the film is, and it becomes stupid and farcical, Chris Farley is that.
They sort of stick too many characters into it, and they don't have the expert ability to handle all those characters in the way, a Die Hard might, a John McTiernan might.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael McKean from Better Call Saul and Spinal Tap, more relevantly for this, and other people that I will mention as we go along.
Shall go through a plot.
Filmed at Fox Plaza, which shared a parking lot with the building used for Nakatomi Plaza. So that's fun.
But you don't see that in this film at all. Nakatomi is not used in this film at all.
No, well, it can't be Die Hard because it's all one floor.
But if you are filming a movie that is basically like a Die Hard situation, where you're stuck inside a building and the cops are outside, and you have access to view the Nakatomi Plaza in shot, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, maybe it's in a shot. I don't know. But I think if you want to do what if Die Hard, but the terrorists are good guys and also they're rock and roll
and also next
forever,
door,
why not have them take over a skyscraper of record executives?
Yeah. Not
just to cut to the chase on what I think this movie should have been.
Yeah,
and then they're up tall in a building, and that gives you much more Die Hard related stuff. But the more you get into, the more you allude to Die Hard, the more you point out to the audience that the three main guys are the villains of the story because they're holding innocent people hostage with fake, but no one knows that guns.
Yeah.
Like
the threat is real.
Yeah,
the guns may be fake, but the threat and the horror is there.
Like you point a real looking fake gun at me. That's still one of the biggest things to happen to me that day, and I'm like, well, it wasn't real. My cortisol system doesn't know that.
Exactly.
Does it?
Mm. But you're not going to use Nakatomi Plaza if it's next door.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I'm giving you no pushback on that.
Thank you.
So we have a very 90s Sesame Street style opening of where I don't know even what it's called. It's like claymation, but with objects, and you move objects around, and it's like.
Yeah.
It's a perfect type of day. Like, that's what I'm saying.
It's like the opening, and the same sort of opening happens for like Napoleon Dynamite and things that are stupid, where it's just you make your opening credits and you just do weird shit.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
And this is communicating to us, this is a light-hearted, fun, rock and roll
It
story.
starts by saying subtly, do not take this seriously.
Yeah.
We're just having some fun.
We're just having some fun.
You're here to have some fun.
And, and you can have fun if you don't really think about what's happening.
Just let some air into your head.
This movie...
And have some fun.
Well, yeah. we think Airheads is about the characters, actually. That's what the movie is asking of us. This movie, I think, plays much worse now than it would have done at the time.
Definitely.
There's things that people might have been more willing to just ignore and look past at the time. But now... just a bunch of young white guys with machine guns holding people hostage because they quote unquote just want to be heard. No, thank you. Doesn't feel good. We are not on board with those characters.
Should make Airheads again, but it's like a horrific political drama.
Yeah, well, it's just a crime drama. That's what it is. There is a cool dark version of this story that I think definitely could do, but then that's just make everything a dark miniseries. So we do that opening. Someone's eating breakfast and whatever. Brendan, he's riding his motorbike around town, and he's like blagging his way into a record label office, and he's like approaching an executive and being like, here's my demo, etc. And I think this executive is not mean enough to him for the purposes of the story.
Yeah.
The executive's like, hey, look, if you're good, then just keep working.
We'll find you eventually if you keep playing gigs.
Yeah, good people always get there in the end, so just don't worry about it, mate. And he's like, okay, I'll see you later.
I can't take your demo because
Yeah, it's
It's
like
illegal for me to take your demo.
It's
'cause
literally-
I can't sign you if I take it.
yeah, he's
Like-
makes a really good argument.
Yeah,
as
he's
to why.
polite about it. He says the facts.
It's like this is solicitation, so even if I take it, that means I can't
Listen
sign
to
you.
it. I can't do anything.
And like, that guy's meant to be the villain of the whole story. Really, he's the bad guy.
He gets a little bit of villainesqueness when he comes back later on to do like to
Yeah.
use them and like be the MTV
Yeah.
villain, but he's set up as this smart businessman who's like a supportive businessman
He's he's
because he gives proper advice.
Yeah, he's realistic about the business. He's not just interested in signing shallow, bankable stars. He is interested in people who are, quote unquote, dangerous and will get attention in different ways and are doing something new and interesting because he knows it will sell. So the way in which real rock and roll is being held back by this system is kind of muddied up and it's not that clear. So already that's a bit of a problem.
But the film doesn't know that.
The film doesn't
The
know
film
that.
does not. Even the actors don't know that. The characters are like,
Yeah.
yeah. Even though we can, like, you can read that as this guy's doing a job to get real rock and roll out into the world.
Yeah.
The actors have no understanding of that whatsoever.
Yeah, and even if he's not though, even if this is a version of the music industry that is still far from ideal and it's hard for new voices to break through, it's not evil and shallow enough to justify taking people hostage at gunpoint.
Well, it's also like the non-premeditated, like it's just it's a passion, just straight up. We could do this, and it
Yeah.
just begins and it just like cascades. They go along straight away.
Yeah,
Like the rise to okay, we've got hostages in it.
I guess
It's like 20 seconds worth of film.
maybe we should say for people, if anyone is listening who hasn't seen this movie, at a certain point later on, they blag their way into a radio studio.
Yeah, one of the famous rock and roll radio studios.
And they try to get them to play their song, and shit escalates, and they end up taking out fake guns and taking everyone hostage to try to get people to play their song. And that's sort of the plot of the movie. And that's, in this whole opening bit, the fact that is even an option isn't teed up at all.
No.
And it comes
You get your
completely out of
first
left
hint at it
field.
when he goes home after being disappointed.
Brutally rejected by
Brutally
that
rejected.
goateed studio executive. And I guess they are trying to set up that his life is at a bit of a low point.
Because he
gets-
then just gets fucking dumped by his babe of a partner who's
Yeah.
been supporting him for so long.
Yeah, recognize her?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Yeah, she was in fucking School Ties.
The girl, the love interest from School Ties is back. Not anti-Semitic this time, so that's nice. Played by Amy Locane. She's Chaz's girlfriend. Brendan's called Chaz.
Oh, he's had some terrible names.
Chester Ogilvie.
See, that's a rock name right there.
Yeah, should have stuck with Chester.
Definitely should have stuck with Chester. On Spotify, Chester Ogilvie would be massive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does stand out a bit more. Chaz sounds like the sort of person who's going to
Chaz sounds
shoot
like
up a
in,
radio
like,
station.
9 years after this film's going to have bleach blonde spiky hair
Yeah,
and be wearing like 5 polo shirts all with the collars popped at the same
yeah.
time.
Wearing 2 backpacks, one on each shoulder.
That's a Chaz.
Yeah, and so Chaz is at home, and his girlfriend comes home. She's angry with him because he's just a waste of space. This guy, he's not. I mean, he is
may or may not
admittedly
be a talented musician.
yeah.
Because at this point, we do not know.
That's still an open question. I mean, he is honestly pursuing his rock and roll dreams. They are playing gigs. He is going to, even though it's not going to work, he is out there doing stuff. But he's not taking care of life. He didn't mail the rent because she didn't leave a stamp for him. What a world. What a different time. Mailing the rent?
If she didn't leave a stamp, drive it over. You have a motorbike, bruv.
Yeah.
You've been riding out all day.
Drive your rent over. I
Yeah.
just can't. It's so. The past. He did something to her makeup. I don't know what. A lot of good lines in this. A lot of good insults. Dick smoke. Half a butt. And there's lots of butt related stuff. She says, "You ruined my makeup, you butt." because she's rock and roll.
Man, that cuts deep. That cuts
Yeah.
deep.
I liked her characterization of someone who is rock and roll, but is not really able to live that lifestyle and is
she has a
doing this
job,
sort of
and rock and
buttoned up
roll's
job that she hates.
On the weekends.
Yeah.
Like ravers. People who go to raves also have regular jobs.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to. She wants to be full-time rock and
She
roll.
does. Who doesn't? Let's face it.
I'd love to be full-time rock and roll. I've only ever managed part-time because it's quite tiring.
It takes a lot.
Yeah, it does. It asks a lot.
Yeah. You'd think
Of
these
you.
people don't have real jobs, but man, that life is stress.
Yeah. You gotta
You gotta wake up at
do sound check.
10.
There's sound check, isn't there?
Yeah, there's sound check. There's groupies.
Stalkers.
Stalkers, you gotta worry about them. The pap.
Perhaps go out there and punch a few photographers every day.
I mean, it takes a lot to throw a TV through a hotel window. Because that glass is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And to do it week after week, throwing a TV through a hotel window.
Wonder, imagine if you throw it once and it bounces off.
Do you give up?
You're like, oh, I'm glad no one knows. At least no one saw that happen. They only know when it smashes through. They only know the good one.
There's a camera crew outside.
You just hear dunk.
Just dunk.
Is he throwing something out the window? And it's not. Yeah, I think so.
You see the window slide open. The TV just
Nah, you need the site TV. TV just flies out silently, and a second later, like a baseball bat smashes the window. Like, that was through the window. I'm rock and roll, but I'm also pretty tired
so rock and roll.
from being so rock and roll. So she initially she's happy for him because she thinks he's got a meeting.
He was at a meeting.
But then it becomes revealed that he's still just being a layabout. And then he says the final straw is that you get to sit in a nice office all day and drink coffee and smoke. You know how offices are.
That's exactly how my office
And
is.
she headbutts him incredibly hard. Like, the sound design on these fights is way too extreme. It's like squelching and smashing sound.
She cracks his nose with her face.
And he says, "Ooh, my snout." Is that a Paulie reference?
No, but it's great.
I think it's a Paulie Shaw reference. Paulie's with us at all times. So she kicks him out, throws all his stuff out on the street. So that sucks for him. He doesn't look that sad about it, though.
No, he does not look because I think they've broken up many times before.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
And he's just like, well, this is Tuesday.
They're rock and roll, so I felt like this was kind of par for the course. So it's not really establishing they were at a real low point. Then Steve Buscemi, he works at a toy store. He plays
He's
Rex.
got an actual job.
Yeah.
That's rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly. Sustainable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then Adam Sandler in a midriff shirt. Big fan of that. He's looking great. And so this is the band, the Lone Rangers. And there's some talk
Which is
about...
a great title for a band, and the fact that the movie makes fun of it so many times.
Yeah, the radio host later is like, how can you pluralize the Lone Rangers? I'm like, well, first of all, it's fine, shut up. Yeah. And second of all, you can have multiple people out there ranging alone. But they're still like a team, and every so often they come back together. But each one of them has their own area that they go out and range lonely in. You know, and then when they come together, they're the Lone Rangers.
It's a good title for a band.
But they never range together.
No.
And if they don't range together, they are the Lone Rangers, okay, guy? So how about you just back off, okay? It's hard to come up with a band name, and once you've got it, they don't need people like you undermining them.
Shitting on their name.
These guys are clearly on the edge and are taking people hostage.
Well, they're on the edge of taking people hostage.
Well, yeah, at that point. They established that Steve Buscemi has all these stolen toys and guns. There's a Mr. Stretch, which I used to have. Did you have a Mr. Stretch?
Did not have a Mr. Stretch.
Lots of fun.
Stretching?
Yeah.
Real stretchable?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it was sad when you're on your own, you'd stretch both the arms and you'd want to stretch the legs as well, but you don't have enough arms, so you like stand on it.
Like
or
put it between your
tie-
big toe and your like grip him.
Or like weight the leg under something else and then stretch him out. And then at a certain point, you're just like, what am I doing?
5-year-old Sam.
What am I? Sam, what
a
are you
waste of
fucking doing?
I could be watching Sesame Street right now.
I
But
could be-
instead, I could be learning something on Sesame Street. I could be expanding my knowledge.
I could be enjoying
via Elmo.
I could be enjoying some lovely edutainment right now. Instead, here I am, stretching a man? What are you...
I'm already taller than this man can stretch.
You'd stretch it out, and then you'd let go, and he'd slowly stretch back in, and you just have to sit there looking at him as he slowly comes back to his original form, being like, well, I guess I'm playing. I guess this is playing. Why are we here? Why was I born? So they go to a concert for the Sons of Thunder. It's a Rebel Radio record release party. And the Sons of Thunder have those silly outfits on, and they go, look at those dumb pantaloons. And that's when Chaz is like, we need to get our song on Rebel Radio, and then we'll be like these guys, because Rebel Radio got them signed. So Rebel Radio doesn't sign people, they don't make records, they're just a radio station, but they're a step in the right direction. Yep. Right? But they're definitely not the people who are to blame for the many challenges of being in the music industry. That's an important thing to bear in mind. So they try to sneak into the radio station. They're on the way there. I like that Adam Sandler had a big gulp.
I do like that, yeah.
I love a big gulp in a movie. And so they're trying to break into the building.
And they do it quite successfully with the whole...
First of all, they're trying to get into the machine. They're like trying to short circuit the machine by like pouring some big gulp into it and stuff. And then Adam Sandler gets cracked in the face by the door. And Susie with 2 Z's is there. And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then, they're up on the roof, and Brendan drops a bag, so the strap goes over the door before it doesn't close.
That's pretty smart.
Fat genius, frankly.
That's the best way to one-strap a backpack right there.
Now, that's a good use of a one strap. He says, sweetness.
Which I think the movie needs more of, because that's one of the things that makes Bill and Ted so great, is that every time something cool happens, they will exclaim about it. Yeah. And then air guitar for a moment.
Yeah, I think the fact that the terrorists in the form of this
what a
band,
great band name.
the siege initiators, they're so unhappy and not having a good time that it makes it feel like it should all be more serious than it is. Whereas if they like, it's called Airheads, they need to be dumber.
Yes, they need to be stupid.
They need to be more the Adam Sandler level, because instead,
all of them, not just Adam Sandler.
Because Chaz and Rex, it feels like they should realize how bad this is, what they're doing.
I think Rex realizes it a lot before Chaz does. Chaz is just...
Which is weird, because it's Rex's idea.
Yeah.
Rex initiates it, and then the others go along with it. So Kramer is in there. He's an accountant, and he's having a meeting with the guy from Better Call Saul. Great, the hilarity of casting Michael Richards as a mild-mannered accountant. That's great.
A Clark Kent type.
So they get in the building, and then they get into the radio, the recording...
The booth.
The booth. And, it's a weird scene. They sort of just, like... They just walk sideways into frame, smiling awkwardly. And the snake or whatever is on the radio, is like, hi. And they're like smiling. And then Steve Buscemi goes, we're a band. Now, the host of this show
handles himself gracefully.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's a chill, fun guy. Ian the Shark, pardon me. Played by Joe Mantegna, and he just like starts having a chat to them. He's like, all right,
yeah, swings a microphone their way.
Yeah, you want to be on the radio? That's fine. You haven't brought a gun out yet, and yet here you are. Isn't it interesting how much you don't need to use guns to get on the radio? It doesn't seem to all be going well for you. And Chaz starts sharing about his life, and he's talking about Kalo and how he's screwed up, and he was in the wrong. There's a lava lamp in that office.
Yeah.
Love that. They disappeared, didn't they?
I'm sure the people who had lava lamps still have lava lamps.
Oh, what's that old lava like now?
I just don't think it's chic anymore, so you
No.
can't find them. You have to go to like a UFO specific shop
Yeah, or like a tobacconist.
or a tobacco.
Some tobacconists, I feel like they're holding out
That's
the
the
torch
definite place where you
for
can find
lava
a
lamps.
But an abnormally large lava lamp
Yeah.
or an abnormally small lava lamp. There's no like 2-foot generic lava lamp size.
No,
you
there's
can either
no-
have a miniature desk one that plugs into a USB point, or it's like 6 foot.
And it's in the shape of an alien head
Yeah.
or something. And it says, I want to believe.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like,
no middle ground anymore.
it's like, I'm not smoking DMT. I just want a normal lava lamp.
the truth is out there.
Yeah, I know it is. But that's not what I'm about today. Today I'm just trying to get a quick lava lamp. I've got a baby shower to go to.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway. And so Michael McKean. You know, you need a last minute gift. You're like, oh, I'll just nip into the tobacconist.
Get a lava lamp.
Get a
or
lava lamp
small,
and a
a
beer-
miniature BMW.
Yeah, miniature BMW or a beer pong set. Or,
It's
you
the
know.
best place for a last minute gift.
Yeah, or like a sexist stubby cooler.
Yeah. There's like an embossed female figure with no head on it.
Yeah, exactly. Or an Oktoberfest flagon. You can get a flagon in there, can't you?
The plastic beer glass that has beer colored liquid inside it, so it always looks like a full thing of beer.
Yeah. Oh, I used to have a Simpsons themed mug, like cup. I suppose it was meant to be for beer, but I wasn't drinking
Duff.
beer at this
It had
point.
Duff
Yeah, it
on
was
it.
like
Yeah,
Duff, but it had like water in it, like around the rim.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
could
yeah.
freeze it, and you take that out, and so you've got a
You have a
and
frozen
you
cup.
pour your drink in there, and it stays cold. Oh,
So cool.
so cool.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't have it now. Why isn't that cool anymore? Because it would be insane to pull it out now.
Why? This would be fucking cool.
It wouldn't be.
It would be though. To take that to the movies.
It would have novelty. It's
Yeah.
not cool.
So they're
What
chatting.
the fuck was all that about?
I don't know. The lava lamp tangent.
Oh yeah,
So they're chatting.
the chat and Michael McKean comes back in and he just escalates the situation. Well,
He fucks the
he's
situation
like, what the
right
he
up.
he doesn't he fucks it and he's like, can we get this Hollywood Boulevard trash out of here? I'm
He's the
fucking
guy
sick of this.
who secretly at this point wants to change the radio station completely
Yeah,
to easy listening talkback radio.
yeah.
And there's an interview happening right now where your dude is just chatting with some guys. That's talkback radio.
It is.
You would like, hey,
They're having an adult, mature
this
conversation
is
about
what I wanna
relationships.
transform my radio station into.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
believe.
listen to this.
I believe the genre is called adult contemporary. Is there any less rock and roll phrase than adult contemporary? Blah. Boring. Boring.
Could you imagine though a radio station that's been around for X amount of years, known for rock
Called
and like
Rebel
indie
Radio.
rock, Rebel Radio?
Well, rock and
Where
roll's
we're rebranding,
to adult.
easy listening and chill out.
We're going to be called Velvet Sounds.
Still called Rebel Radio,
Yeah.
but you just hear the sounds of the ocean and then some guy playing the marimbas.
Well, rock and roll is dead, Isaac.
Rock and roll is dead.
That's what they're realizing in this era.
In 1994.
1994, rock and roll is over, and it was, in its truest form. And so now the rage is building.
Ooh.
This movie, I think you can draw a direct line from this movie to the rage that finally bubbled over in
1999's Woodstock.
Woodstock's 99, exactly.
The rage.
I actually think that quite genuinely. I think the cultural moment that's sort of culminated in Woodstock 99, you can see parts of that here where
Yeah.
it's young white rockers who are trying to express themselves, but they're sort of like middle class suburban kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they just didn't know what to express themselves about. Like, even though the 90s was this very sort of stable time, quote unquote, in a lot of different ways, and so art and young art, it was becoming more commercialized, and I don't know. I guess it kind of a lot of the ways that music and stuff was created outside of a system was finally sort of dying its last death at that point. Because like that's never really come back, especially in terms of music.
It's come back nowadays
mechanized and
because
produced.
everybody has the ability to get their music out there specifically, but not everybody has the ability to make money. So people are still making their music nowadays, and it's a lot easier to just get your stuff out. But it's a lot harder now to make your living doing that.
Yeah, I think then the apple cart's kind of been just turned over by technology. I would say in the last 5 years, really. It's weird because I think a lot about Woodstock '99.
It was a good documentary.
And why those riots happened, and
it's crazy
what it means at like a psychodynamic level, really, about society. Like what something is bubbling inside of us and was bubbling inside of America that burst forth in that way, and it's easy to dismiss it as young people just sort of being irresponsible and self-centered, but I think one should always tilt towards believing that there is some validity in the rage of young people, even whilst you may criticize the way in which they express it. That's all I'll say on that for now. We'll come back to it.
99 though.
Yeah.
What a fucking shit show of an organization.
Yeah. Poorly organized.
Fucking terrible. What a stupid place to do something.
But the thing is, Woodstock 68.
Yeah, but that was poorly organized. But they
Was
did
poorly
it
organized.
on grass, at least, where it's a little cooler. You're not just on
Not
a
an
massive airbase of asphalt and hell.
Yeah, true. But so I think that was part of it. But I think what's interesting is how much it just seems to be the vibe.
The vibe.
The vibes were off.
The vibe. But also, it's such a different vibe.
Yeah.
Musically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what's driving it, and just
peace and love, guys.
yeah.
Fuck the man.
Yeah.
Fuck the man.
Yeah. But one thing led to the other. You don't get one without the other.
Yeah, exactly.
And why? Yeah, I think about it for a long time. Anyway, because Michael McKean with a ponytail comes in and has a go, the Rex loses it and pulls
With
out.
the ponytail.
The ponytail. Yeah, great villain coding. Ponytail on man who should not have ponytail.
Blonde ponytail on man who should not have ponytail.
Blonde ponytail on man with receding hairline.
Who could also wear a sweater around his shoulders.
Villain. Yeah. Oh, speaking of villains, have I talked to you about Mr. Beast?
Mr. Beast.
Before? Do you know Mr.
I know
Beast?
of Mr. Beast. I don't like the vibe of what that is.
Yeah.
Angers me.
Yeah, exactly. So he's
weird.
the biggest YouTuber in the world. He makes billions
Again,
of
the
dollars.
word YouTuber, I hate it. But
Well,
continue.
it's a thing. And
has he done something terrible now?
I don't think so. All I have to say about Mr. Beast is that his face triggers predator defense response in me. Right? Something about his little smile and his bad haircut and goatee.
Mm-hmm.
It makes something in my brainstem go, get away from this. And I'm not
it's
saying
like that uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Where it's close to human but not human.
Yeah, like when whether there's demons or ghosts and their thing is that they smile in a show or TV show. Him doing it looks like, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that he even is bad, or even though I think critiques could be made.
Yep.
I do not like looking at Mr. Beast.
Completely understandable.
And there's something about him.
I think I've done quite well of avoiding that side of YouTube in my usage of YouTube.
I've only heard about him through secondhand. I haven't watched a Mr. Beast video.
Secondhandly, I've heard of prank channels and dudes who do pranks on each other and that sort of stuff. I haven't seen that. And I don't. I like that YouTube knows that I don't want to know about this sort of shit. And YouTube knows that I don't really give a fuck about Mr. Beast taking 100 people into a shopping center or some shit and making them fight for $1 million, whatever it is.
Oh, well, at the moment he only does good stuff.
Okay.
Like he restored 100 people's eyesight or something.
See, that's kind of badass.
Yeah,
but do you need to video that? Just do it. If you got the money.
You could just do it, and also, okay, now get into it. It's just the problem is just to present. Hey, we have the money and we're going to restore people's eyesight with the absence of any critique at all of why is this the only way these people can see.
Yeah.
It's just
hey, I've got money.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
just
everybody needs, money.
yeah, it's just charity without
Heart.
not even necessarily without heart. I don't know what he's feeling, but
You've seen that face.
it's well, I know what I'm feeling. Dread. I feel like
you hear it, and then like really soft cellos in the background, just like.
I feel like he's going to pounce at me like a spider. And I mean, I guess we'll see. Rex pulls out a water pistol,
Okay,
and
yeah,
they start taking over the
chat
radio
gets
station.
Fucking interrupted by ponytail
It's
guy.
a big deal.
Water pistol.
Now, here's what I would say. Rex should be set up as more of a wild card and more out of his mind.
Uh-huh.
And so he wanted to do this the whole time.
Yes. I think Rex should be the crazy rocker who's like been like even have him be 10 years older than all of them, tried several times in different bands, and this is the band he wanted to
That'd be
succeed. Like
good.
finally.
Yeah.
And he just keeps getting fucked.
Instead, he's set up as the most aggressive one because he can do the like gun talk the most, and he has a
'Cause
lot of
he's
fun
Steve
doing that.
Buscemi.
Because he's Steve Buscemi, bitch. But yeah, have him be more out of his mind, because if he's out of his mind, we can shift more of our blame onto him and keep Chaz a bit more.
Yeah, you could sort of like
Chaz is being
ease
swept
the
up
other
in
two
it.
out of blame,
Yeah.
and get him off at the end.
Instead, because they're all kind of at the same level of dumb and or crazy, it's completely evenly shared. And so this is as much Chaz's idea as it is Rex's, because he goes along with it immediately. So that's a problem. Yeah.
Yep. So now they
that's
have
what-
hostages.
And he says,
But
all I want to do is
again,
be heard and get out of here.
the
Kramer
shark
calls the police.
handled himself great. He's like,
all
okay,
right.
you've got a gun now. Says that into the microphone so people
Yeah.
know about it.
I liked...
Still calm.
Yeah, I liked the Shark's character because you just really got the sense of this guy. He's a bit older. He's rock and roll, so he's seen some shit.
Yeah, he's been rock and roll for a long time.
He's been through. This isn't the first time someone's pointed a gun at him. Like he's been through some situations.
He was at the fucking Stones concert when the Hells Angels took over.
Yeah, he started it.
Hi. He
know-
was the MC on the night.
You know who obviously would have been great for that role? Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Almost Famous style.
Mm,
You know.
I love Phil.
Well, they might have been a bit too young at this point,
He would have been.
but
He could
Yeah.
have been Kramer's
That's one of
character
my
in this film,
favourite.
actually. That would have been great.
just a little bit more bumbling Father Christmas energy. How sad is it that Jack Black is not in this?
I know.
God damn.
But this is maybe like just like 2 or 3 years just too early for Jack Black to be in
He'd
this.
be in like his early 20s
Yeah.
at this point.
Like he's fucking perfect.
yeah.
And he's a
But
he's a great actor.
But the world didn't know.
Exactly.
But this kind of movie, because Jack Black, I think, could have carried it off in a more lovable way. Like he could hold people at gunpoint, and you'd still wanna,
Yeah.
you'd
If
still
this
want
was
him
made,
to like. You'd still want to like him.
If this was made just prior Woodstock 99, Jack Black as Chaz. Like I love Brendan, but Jack Black as Chaz. Same rest of the cast.
Yeah.
And I think the movie itself may
Yeah,
have done
absolutely.
better.
Because I think if Chaz isn't, a big, tall, handsome man,
Yes, if
that would
he's
help as well.
Yeah.
He needs to be a bit of.
Because like if Chaz didn't want to do rock, he's got another life ahead of him.
It's going to be fine for you,
Yeah,
buddy.
just get a haircut, bruv. You're good. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Life is okay.
You're-
You can wear jeans and stand outside of a shop shirtless.
We are sounding a bit incelly here. We're like, he's a Chad. The world will just lay down for him. When guys like that, they get whatever they want all the time. But like, he seems like someone who could do other things in life. That's all we're
Well,
saying.
also he's got a
Whereas Jack Black has nothing. Jack Black is either Bowser or he's homeless.
I saw a photo the other day of Jack Black with his son, and his son just looks like younger Jack Black.
Yay.
And now Jack Black's just wearing
Love
like
that.
tie-dye shirts and
That's-
like board shorts and little backpacks and stuff. And the comment was, it looks like Jack Black's son is taking Jack Black to school. It's so great.
That's why we have sons,
I
so
love
they
Jack
can look
Black.
like us.
Jack Black is the best.
Never a true word said. So they can't play the tape because it's a reel-to-reel tape. I loved this. And I love that Chaz is like, no, it has to be reel-to-reel because these are the sound differences. Even putting it onto cassette degrades the sound too much. So it has to be reel-to-reel. So they have to find a reel to so they take it to Reg E. Cathy, who is very angry about being interrupted. This is the guy from The Wire. And I think he won an Emmy for House of Cards. That's what I recognized him from.
Oh, dude, that's
House
cool.
of Cards. He's great.
It's a good cast.
Yeah. And it just keeps going. There's 6 people we haven't even mentioned yet. So they get the machine to play it. They play it and it just catches fire. And they all go, run! And Reggie Cathy says, it's the inbreeding. I guess because they're white. I don't know. Or trailer trash. So police arrive. They try to leave. Adam Sandler does that dance with the cop in the car park where he takes a step back and he takes a step forward. And they're freaking out. They're like, okay, we've got a real problem. They pull everyone into the big meeting room. No one leaves till we figure this out.
Because now they've officially got hostages, and they know that they've got hostages,
Yeah.
and they know that other people know that they've got hostages.
And they don't have a tape to play their song. So
Yeah,
they are,
because that's the only way you can play music.
yeah.
With a tape recording of you playing music. That's what weirded me out at the start. Because when the thing burnt and what's his face is like, well, there's only one thing to do now. Immediately he's going to say, just play your song and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But he's like, we
Yeah,
have to get the other tape. It's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. You're a rock band. You're supposed to want to play the music. But for so much of this movie, they have no thoughts about just playing their fucking song.
What Isaac, the thing you have to understand is that neither Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, or Adam Sandler can actually play instruments.
Adam Sandler can play the guitar,
And
not the drums.
they are dancing around that fact this entire movie. Yeah, to be honest, that's a very obvious point, but I didn't get to it till later on. At the end, I was like, why don't you just play your song? Isn't that better? Isn't that actually better? To do
Yeah, you
that?
can set a couple
Well,
of
no,
mics up.
they might fuck it up. So Chris Farley, or almost Shrek, as I like to call him. Do you know that?
That's really sad.
Because he recorded
Yeah.
nearly all of Shrek before sadly passing away. And Ghostbuster 1, Ernie Hudson turns up.
Ghostbuster 1.
The first of 2 Ghostbusters in this film. Who, even though I've obviously seen Ghostbusters, I actually recognize him more from Basketball Diaries.
Really?
Yeah, he
Okay.
does a great turn in that. So they turn up.
So does DiCaprio.
Yeah, DiCaprio's pretty good in Basketball Diaries, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot take.
Hot day.
Basketball
He's
Diaries.
got some acting on him.
That dude can act. So they turn up. Things continue to escalate. The shark tries to talk Chaz down, still doing a great job, and Chaz is like, okay, we need the other tape. Cut to bloody Sally Wheeler throwing the tape out of her car.
Which, coming back to that tape in that specific part of the city every now and then was quite fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Do they get that tape?
Yep.
Yeah.
It gets pissed on. It gets nearly run over by several cars.
Bit of a
There's
20.
one of those low riders that the Spanish dudes have, the Latino guys, doing its bouncing thing while it's stopped at the
Oh,
set of
yeah,
lights
I
there.
remember that.
And
Like
it's just
nearly-
almost crushing this tape.
Yeah, I remember that. That's
I
good.
enjoyed that quite a lot.
Bit of a $20 situation with this
Very
tape.
$20 situation.
Yeah, the return to the Brendan Fraser filmography of
Something
Of
going through a lot of stuff.
objectively something going through a lot of stuff. You know that trope? So he goes out to talk to Ernie, and he starts to develop a relationship with the Ghostbuster
and gives
cop.
them their sweet demands.
And he's like, you have to find the tape. And yeah, Chaz's attitude to this is very interesting. Because he's like, where is it? It's like, I don't know, you have to find my girlfriend. Where is she? I don't know, I just tried calling her. She's out there somewhere. Figure it out, man.
He shows him a bikini photo of
Yeah.
his girlfriend.
Yeah. and
This is her.
this
Good
is
luck.
her. She'll be wearing something different. but-
Gives that to Chris Farley.
And just the way Chaz is like, so go on then. Like this is normal.
I also
what are you
love
thinking?
that-
And then already a crowd has started to form, and he does a little air guitar at this point. So already we're starting to build,
a rapport.
the cultural
with the
myth
rock
that
and
will
roll
be,
crowd.
yeah, the night of the Lone Rangers. Amazing scene after that of Pip, Adam Sandler, inside, asking the black woman, one of the hostages, why don't black people like me? Now look, it's like, they're always following you in stores. It's like, that's never happened to me. Does that happen to you? Now look, Pip is a very innocent character.
Yeah.
And on one level, this is him reaching out and
This is the first
in one
opportunity
way,
he's had to reach out.
expressing an absence of, racial discrimination, etc., etc. It just doesn't play as funny coming from like a spaced out white guy holding a gun, holding the woman hostage.
Yeah.
I
think
the holding the guns just just hamstrings every attempt at comedy.
I think we're supposed to view Pep as never holding the gun.
But it's in frame.
Yeah, but like his character doesn't know that it's a gun. Because he knows it's a water pistol. And his character clearly doesn't understand that any of these people are in fear.
Yeah, but the hostage thinks it's real.
Yeah.
The woman in the scene thinks it's real. So you can't see past that. Kramer gets blown through the vents. He's having an absolute shit of a time. Rex tries to teach Pip how to be tough.
Yeah.
Another great line from Adam Sandler. I'm going to stab your heads off with my dick. As he's trying to... That's probably the funniest bit, I think. Because there's no hostages in the scene.
No, it's just them two.
It's just
out.
Rex trying to get Pip riled up. Okay, SWAT arrives. So they do the Die Hard
But
thing.
Ernie Hudson doesn't let him take over. He's like,
Yeah.
nah, I've got a rapport with these people.
Yeah.
I am just a regular beat cop, but I have a rapport with these
But this
people.
is like Die Hard. Have you seen Die Hard? You know how Powell is right the whole time? I'm Powell in this situation. People must think they're Powell a lot in hostage situations.
I should hope so.
Like, I'm the one.
I want people to have that self confidence.
I'm the one without training who's been able to make a breakthrough. That's who I am. And yeah, this is who's it says you think I give a shit about the Beatles? I think it's Chaz.
Chaz says that line.
Yeah, and I think this is the most it's engaging with where it's positioned in like the history of rock, and why this is happening now, why they're doing the hostage situation, and I think the Shark, maybe rock today just doesn't have much to say.
Yeah.
And I think Rex says our music beats the shit out of that fruity music you listen to. They're meant to be kind of heavy metal, I think.
Yes.
The Lone Rangers.
Yeah.
So then they start taking over the radio station a bit more. They start getting old like other demos that haven't been played before. They're playing other people's demos on the radio.
Playing music that they want to listen to.
Crowd is going wild. Chris Farley goes to Whiskey A Go Go to find Kayla, and it just a bunch of stuff happens there. He finds her
so easily.
Amazing work. Just driving
He's a
out.
proper good cop.
Just goes out into LA. Like, I'm going to look around with my eyes and find this woman in the dark. That's when it was revealed that they're going to change to adult contemporary. So now everyone's turning on Ponytail. Do you hear what Susie or Suzzy says?
No.
All those blowjobs for nothing.
Yeah.
All those. Susie, come on, mate.
With two Z's.
Susie with two Z's.
That's proper funny though.
Yeah.
Like that is proper hilarious.
And they just throw it away. Just throw the line away. Then there's a fight. Then they all start fighting. Once again, sound design way too brutal. There's like a squelch sound in every punch.
Oh yeah, it's the Shark is beating the fuck out of Ponytail.
The Shark's had enough. It is so weird that David Arquette is here. the whole time for no reason. Just being weird. Noted.
He's like high.
Noted professional wrestler, David Arquette.
Really?
He's done a lot of WWE.
The fuck? That's cool.
Yeah, everyone loves him in that.
Like as lame as WWE is, that's very cool.
Yeah, they all start ordering food, and now and they're demanding a record contract, right? Susie with two Z's has sex with Adam Sandler. It's like, what else are you going to do? You got to pass the time. And good for her. That's fine. I mean, have sex with whoever you want. I'm just saying, if it's, if don't do lots of explicitly transactional sex in order to climb the ladder at Rebel Radio. You know what I mean?
Or
put a higher
to climb
price
the
on
ladder
yourself
during your hostage situation.
I guess, yeah.
I'm safe now.
I'm gonna sleep my way to the top of this siege. I'm gonna get the record contract eventually. So I loved this. So the shark gets back on the radio. This is our new segment, Getting to Know Your Armed Assailant. Very good. So the SWAT gives Kramer, or John McClane, a real machine gun. Now he has a machine gun.
Yeah, through a vent in the ceiling that they could easily have gotten in through.
Yeah.
So, like, they could have just done their fucking job.
True, yeah. Mace, the SWAT commander, he's brought in as a big deal, but he could have done more really escalate. And, but, I mean, good example of them getting the real machine gun in there. Very ambivalent relationship to cops in this movie. Because earlier, Ernie Hudson, like him and Chris Farley's like, aren't we not meant to do that? Like and they say don't be aggressive to people who's like, yeah, well, the people who do that training aren't out here doing crowd control, are they? Get out there and fuck people up, basically. Yeah. But they also show the SWAT team completely escalating the situation by putting a real machine gun in. Although I guess if you think this, but
well, at that point, they just assume there are also real guns.
Don't give a real machine gun to Kramer. That's the.
Well, I think because Kramer says that he worked in the National Guard or something, and he mentions it, but then the cop guy only hears the last word of whatever it repeats.
Oh, yeah.
Marines, yes.
Marines, yeah.
Merchant Marine Corps is what he said he was in. Marines, yes, cool.
What even is that?
Gives him a fucking gun. I think Merchant Marines are literally just like a lame Coast Guard.
Okay. Well, they sound like the more intense Coast Guard.
But, yeah, they give him an actual fucking gun. It's
always fun to make fun of the Coast Guard, isn't it? That's all like, because they're sort of meant to be like a branch of the military, you know?
That wear orange.
Yeah. 2 tours.
Their camouflage is orange.
Yeah. Yeah. I did 2 tours. Florida and somewhere else on the coast.
Florida and
Hawaii. Harold Ramis, the second Ghostbuster, turns up tries to be a fake studio executive. They figure out he's a cop by asking him questions about Van Halen. Didn't mind that. So and this is the most mental part, I think, where they get rid of Harold Ramis, the second Ghostbuster, and Chaz goes out to sort of like reject him and rile up the crowd again. He says that they've got the guns, we've got the numbers, which is a line from something. I forget what it is, but it's a great line. Then they start chanting Rodney King.
Is that what they're chanting?
They're chanting Rodney King.
Okay. Because I couldn't understand it when they were chanting. Why?
Which...
This is post getting OJ off, isn't it?
I'm not sure about OJ, but the Rodney King beating and massive riots that erupted in LA, that was 1991. So this is only a few years after that. And just, I guess there's just anti-police sentiment that kind of anyone could maybe jump on at this point.
Just an easy thing to yell out that people will start chanting with you.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Just a crowd pleaser. But just to have Brendan Fraser standing up in front of like at least one black police officer, holding at least one black person hostage, starting a Rodney King chant to a bunch of predominantly white young rockers. Don't really know what to make of that.
No.
But and in the ludicrous nature of that moment, they can't, and the guys inside don't understand either, because they're all looking out. One of them goes, Rodney King, what's that supposed to mean? And Pip just says, he's that guy. And that's it. Is that guy. And then this cuts to something else. Brendan Fraser points a gun at all of the cops and nothing happens. And then they turn the power back on. Lots of white people pointing guns at cops not getting shot in this movie.
True. The 90s was a much more chill time for
Well,
cops.
I guess so.
Mm.
But also, lest we forget, the racial component. Kayla finally arrives. And there's lots of there's too many sort of Spartacus moments of him coming out in front of the crowd. He comes out again. He reveals he was a geek in high school. Didn't understand this. He played D&D, which kind of makes his character a fun sort of Stranger Things amalgam.
Yeah.
But
then everyone in the crowd starts yelling out things that
oh yeah,
they did too.
they
That's
were
quite
nerds
creepy.
as
They're
well.
all on his side.
Turns out you can be a nerd and rock and roll as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't really understand what we were doing there. She gets in and and then they argue immediately. They were a completely dysfunctional couple. She chairs the window, and now that is rock and roll.
That's fucking rock and
Can't argue with that.
That's more rock and roll than any of the three of them holding guns have been.
Yeah, she's more rock and roll than them at this point. You don't
Yeah,
need.
because she has a corporate job, but it's rock and roll on the weekend.
And that's
You
what.
know? that's real rock and roll, right?
Real rock and roll is
Be a functioning part of
is to
society.
work for the man
work for
most
the
of the
man.
time.
But then, fucking rock and roll
But then,
in your own spare time.
yeah, in your own spare time, in as much spare time as the man has decided you should have. Oh yeah, he says, "I'm holding a gun to a guy's head so the whole world can hear your song." Is that love or what? That is a serial killer statement.
Yeah.
That is what crazy people say. But that's where the acting is. I think this is the most Brendan acting throughout this movie. At a certain point in all this, the big studio executive from the start turns up and gets in there and is like, "This is great. We're going to give you a record deal.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be talking about this for ages, but we're going to play the song." He finally has the brainwave of we'll just play this song. What happens to the tape if they do get it? Because
They get the tape. It's disgusting. Oh no, they put it in the machine. Is what gets fucked up. Somebody smashes the machine.
right.
Maybe when she threw the chair.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes, when she throws the chair, it breaks the glass. The machine's fucked up because she damages the booth itself.
Man, hope this radio station is insured because they have caused.
Well, they're about to be
terrible
adult
damage.
easily listening, so that's something you definitely insure.
Now that's a sustainable business model.
Yeah,
That's what we
you
call.
insure an adult, contemporary, easy listening station.
Because there's always going to be adults, aren't there?
Yeah,
And things are always going to be contemporary because that just means
they've all got
now.
life insurance.
And now is all there is. So
There is no future. There's only the present.
exactly, the future and past are just thoughts happening in the present, isn't it? So
yeah, she's fucked up the machine, so they
So
can't
it's-
play the tape. So they can't play the tape.
So the studio executive comes, he's like, "I'm going to give you a record deal. We'll play the song." So the cops just negotiate very aggressively and extensively with the terrorists. And they're like, "We will do basically anything that you want." And they bring them all kinds of food.
When
And they start setting up the infrastructure necessary for a concert outside.
David Arquette escapes, but then tries to come back in. He's like,
David.
we shouldn't have escaped, man.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, a bunch of the hostages leave and then try to get back in because they realize it's cool in there. Yeah, I think they should have made the hostages be more explicitly on their side earlier on.
Yeah. Not just the shark.
And also just have the hostages be evil studio executives.
Yeah. Or if your hostages are there and you go to have your concert at the end, extra instruments get added to this fucking band.
Yeah, suddenly you got a brass section.
Yeah, you got the shark playing fucking mad bass.
Yeah, that'd be good. This movie, machine guns are not rock and roll,
Yeah, this
so
is
that doesn't work.
Mhm.
And if they're going to do a hostage situation, the hostages need to be evil studio executives who are more explicitly exploiting small bands like them.
or
not-
super on their side.
Yeah, not just some poor, everyday people working
At
at
a radio
Rebel Radio, which is the most on your side it could be in the current circumstances.
But if you were making your fun, stupid movie and all of the people that they've taken hostage are also people who failed at rock and like really wanted to rock, it would be
so they
become a team.
So they get it. Yeah. That could be fine as well. But yeah, you need some like the moment like the hostage we hate is Ponytail, but he's not that bad. He's just changing what the radio station. He's just changing the radio station from being rock and roll. He's putting that band on at the start. He's doing a record launch concert for them. Like they're getting bands big. They're not the problem. They're just an avenue that this band hasn't been able to get into currently, and they've lost patience, so they're threatening people with guns. And that's a hard sell for your protagonist. Blah, blah, blah. Steve breaks his water pistol, so they realize the guns aren't real. But then Kramer aims his gun out of the vent in quite a funny way, just like opens fire.
Yeah. And everyone assumes that the guns are real.
Yes. The shark disarms him, and then it fires when it lands on the gun.
Oh, that's what it is.
They hit Kramer with a fire extinguisher, which is satisfying. Rex does acknowledge at this point, we're probably going to jail. I'm glad they do have a conversation about that. So then Jimmy Wing arrives. They sign the record contract, but then Chaz realizes they haven't even heard his music.
And he's like,
he's like, no, I'm going
to
do this the right way. I'm like, well, you
You're
brought the guns in.
doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, you started doing it the wrong way, But Jimmy Wing makes a good point. Is like rock stars don't go to jail. So if you sign this contract, I'll get you out of this. And he talks about someone who's like, he only spent a few months in jail. He killed someone. And then so they set up and they do their big live performance. Like a helicopter drops off a stage.
Well, they don't do the live performance. They get ready to do the live performance.
And then it's a big deal. Pip dresses up as Zorro. I'm not really sure where that came from.
I think that the studio execs want them to have a look. And they give Pip the Zorro outfit.
Oh, yeah. And so Jimmy Wing, but they want him to lip sync
to their song
rather than actually perform. And they are not having any of that.
No, that's not rock and roll.
So they go out there and they play the song, but they don't pretend to be playing it.
They just stand there and the song plays.
And Shark tells everyone to charge the stage. And everyone there is so fucking rock and roll, mate. You wouldn't even believe it. And they stampede and they destroy everything. In some ways foreshadowing quite explicitly Woodstock 99. Cuts them on TV doing Live and in Prison.
I loved that. I like that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
The following stayed. They stayed by them. Live and in Prison.
I was thinking, first of all, if you did Live and in Prison, that would be very successful. People would love that. Yeah. But surely you can't. I'm sure there's a rule in prison that you can't record music videos to put on MTV.
I think because the record exec that has their contract has so much pull with the legal system, he'd get it figured out. Yeah. Johnny Cash played in prison, but he wasn't in prison.
Yeah. You can play in a prison. You can't be in prison. You can be in prison and run for president, apparently, but you can't do music videos.
The phone call that's happening, like, yeah, they'll be out in 3 to 6 months, depending on how they behave. So great. And
so that's the movie.
That is the movie.
I think it doesn't, like, the comedy doesn't quite get to, like, stoner comedy level, which it probably needed to.
Yeah.
Because I can
I think it would have been received more of cult status if it were stoner comedy level.
Yeah.
Like, if Jack Black was Chaz, or if they were all idiots completely.
If they were more idiots.
And succeeding through failure. Like,
if they were idiots and so the hostages actually just kind of feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
And start to sympathize, then that'd be fine. But they just don't quite get those relationships right.
Because they're almost regular dudes.
Yeah.
And then they start doing something stupid.
Yeah, Chaz is too much of just like an A-lister protagonist.
Yeah.
So you can't forgive him for for the mistakes he's making.
Yeah. But overall, it's not terrible.
Overall, like that stuff, but like it's hard to put that stuff aside because it's the entire premise.
True, but I mean the performances and the like it's not. They don't do a bad job, and no one does a terrible job.
No one does a bad job. I think that the script is quite strong actually.
Dialogue-wise.
there's lots of lines, there's lots of bits, there's lots of jokes in it. Every character has a thing. It kind of does.
Nobody really says anything fucking stupid either. Like, there are no stupid, like...
There's no stupid lines.
Yeah.
Like, and all the relationships are quite punchy in some ways, literally. Like Kayla is a real presence. She's always doing stuff.
I also like that there's no culmination of their love story at all.
Yeah.
Like,
just sort of
she
fades
gets
out
back
of the
into the
storyline.
picture, and then they fucking fight again straight away, and like, okay. And then
Yeah.
nothing.
The guy they go and get the reel-to-reel tape recorder from, he's got a whole thing.
Yeah.
David Arquette. It's quite die-hardy in the way it has all these... Like, every character has a
Extra
little thing
little role,
that you
yeah.
might remember them for. Everyone's got the guy with the moustache eating the candy bar thing from Die Hard, you know?
I love seeing that guy in other movies.
You know.
Because he's a henchman in so many films. And you just love... He's
got that strong
oh, there he
henchman
is
look.
again. Fucking cool.
But yeah, budget of 11.2 million, made 5.8.
That seems like a flaw.
It was not well received. And yeah, hasn't really gained anything. Very hard to find. You can't stream this anywhere. So I don't even know how we saw it.
Well, on the Internet
Who's to say?
Archive. We own it on DVD.
Yeah.
And have done since like 2005.
It's yeah. I own it on reel-to-reel videotape.
I have it on a laser disc.
Yeah, it's a shame to see so many strong components not come together.
Did Harold Ramis produce or do anything to do with this film?
Not that I can see.
Because like after Ghostbusters, he did a lot of that, like directing and writing and producing, and he was like bit parts in a lot of those things.
Okay.
But didn't do like heaps of acting.
It's super random that he turns up for 5 seconds.
So like him being there made me think either he's produced this in some way, or like he was just hanging out with Ernie one day, and then like,
well, that would be my guess.
and I love that. That's fucking cool.
You know, the Ghostbusters, they're like dominoes. Once you get one, you're like,
You get
the rest will fall.
But yeah, he did a lot of bit parts in stuff that he produced that were like Bill Murray movie. Like he wrote and produced, I think, Groundhog Day and those sorts of things. That's all Harold Ramis directing, like behind the camera stuff.
Yeah.
Movies that are fantastic. Post Ghostbusters.
Mystery.
What a guy.
That can be one of our questions for Brendan when we get him on the show. Why was Harold Ramis in Airheads? How did that come about?
Did you meet him on set, or
Yeah.
like with his things
What
from
happened to
Belgium?
the other 2 Ghostbusters? Why were they not in this?
Why were their scenes cut from
Because
Airheads?
I know they do like to move as a pack, and so it's weird. It's
Yeah,
just
if they
weird.
drive the same car everywhere, how did
Exactly. Were the other 2 out there in the van just
did
waiting?
they just go to get like burgers or something? Was that filmed on location and like in chronological order? Did this take one day to film? Did you actually hold people hostage? Why did David Arquette work at the same?
Why was David Arquette there? Why is David Arquette there, Brendan? What's going on with that? Do you think it's justifiable to take people hostage in order to be heard, quote unquote? We don't score Brendan's films, we rank them.
Yes, we do.
We're a ranking podcast. This is the 10th movie
Hey,
going on the Brendan Fraser filmography
we're
ranking.
nearly finished.
This is probably going around the middle.
I'd give it that. Yeah.
Let me get so top 5 from 5th to 1st.
Okay.
Encino Man's son-in-law, school ties with honors, presumed guilty.
Okay.
Above or below Encino Man?
You know, I think it's above Encino Man.
God, so many people would.
I know a lot of
Disagree
people
with
will
us for that.
disagree with us for that, but I think it's a better film than Encino Man.
Yeah, Encino Man is a stoner comedy.
Yeah, but
and it achieves its goals more in that way.
It's so loose on what it does, the story itself.
Encino Man is more juvenile.
Yeah. Encino Man looks like something that some dudes would have got a camera with and like, we're going to make a movie. And then just run around for a weekend filming little bits of
What
shit.
are we going to do? We're going to see what Pauly Shore comes up with.
Exactly. Whereas there's a script.
This is more elaborated.
Yeah.
You've got Michael Richards, you've got the cops, you've got
You've got a lot of stuff happening.
You've got all 3 of the main guys who, despite the ways of critique they're too similar, are also very distinct in important ways. Yeah, there's just a lot of characters in this that are quite well drawn.
It's more of a thing.
It's more of a
than
thing.
Encino Man. It sucks that it didn't make much money.
Yeah.
And
It
doesn't have the cult following that I assume Encino Man does have.
Yeah. It doesn't work, but it is, I think, closer to working than people give it credit for.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I'll give it. Yeah.
I think there's a few small changes which would have a big impact across the course of the movie, and I can see what they thought they were making, and what it was meant to feel like, and it just doesn't quite feel like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many talented actors in it, and yeah, it bubbles along. It's never boring. It's never slow. You never wonder what the hell's going on. It's punchy and it gets the job done. I guess it is quite strong in that way.
What's above Encino Man in the list at the moment?
Son-in-Law.
Oh,
Which
see,
is
that's
a-
hard.
which is a
That's
strong-
movie. I think Son-in-Law beats this. As a film.
Because Son-in-Law does work.
Yeah, it works. The story works as what it is. It's great.
Son-in-Law has all those strengths, and also it hangs together as an entertaining story you can still watch now.
Yeah.
Despite all the
And nobody holds anybody hostage.
despite the state of America these days, you know.
So yeah, I think this is number 5.
Yeah, new number 5.
Nice.
Yeah, and because after that it's the good ones.
Yes.
It's School Ties with Honors Presumed Guilty.
It's not going
It's serious movies.
I do think Son-in-Law is a better film than this.
It'd be interesting to see when some comedies start getting up into that top 3. I guess
George.
We got
I'm
George.
so ready for George, man. This is called Airheads.
This is called Airheads. Okay, now the second and much more important ranking: which of all the Brendans would win in a fight?
On that note,
Yeah,
this is a Brendan who has access to very realistic-looking water pistols that look like
with
guns,
hot sauce.
with hot sauce in them. So, and is a rock star. So he's a bard technically. So I think he would be able to
Is it-
bluff
is
his
that
way
what it is,
into
technically?
fights by holding a gun, and
Yeah.
he would technically quite possibly defeat a lot of the weaker opponents that he has in the list
just by getting them in the
just
eyes.
by having a gun and making them cower, and then just a little bit of hot sauce in the eyes. Ah, my God!
Yeah, 'cause we
And
have
having the
established-
ability to bluff and be.
Maybe, but he didn't. Yeah, I mean, because we have established weapons are allowed.
Weapons are allowed.
This is a full-out weapons fight. Yeah, look, I think he's got a machine gun with hot pepper sauce in it, sure. He can get people in the eyes with it, fine. I don't know. Here's a question we haven't encountered before. Have the Brendans seen each other's movies?
I don't.
Do they
think
have
so.
any knowledge about each other before they get in the cage?
Well, I think the Brendans, all the movies aren't movies. It's just one universe that we're
Where those
seeing
movies
parts
are,
of.
and they get plucked.
Yeah, so these are just people existing in that universe that all look exactly the same, and they've all been on their different adventures.
Yeah, and
Come
then
together.
At a certain point, they fall through a time portal.
Yeah, into what I picture in my mind as the Colosseum from Geonosis,
Yeah,
the planet in Star Wars Episode 2.
yep, I'm seeing that. Yeah, or where Thor and Hulk fight.
Yeah,
Bit of
yeah.
that. But in my head, I'm building more of a cage over the top of it as well to keep
So
them
it's
in.
like the Thunderdome, but big.
Yeah, and they
like
can
a big
climb on
Thunderdome.
it. Yes. Yep.
I love the Thunderdome because it's not huge. Like
In Mad Max.
In Mad Max, the Thunderdome is like they talk about it so much. Like, it's the Thunderdome, but it's not big. It's like 20 meters across, maybe. It's just this little fucking.
Well, it's the apocalypse, Isaac. You make do. You make do with what you have.
In the Thunderdome.
Okay, so no one knows it's a fake machine gun.
Yeah, so no one knows
So-
it's fake until he like reveals it's fake.
But look, he's in there with at least 9 other Brendans.
Mm-hmm.
He can only point that gun in one direction. Someone's going to
Get him from behind.
kick out his
Get him
heels.
from behind.
Yeah, someone's going to kick him in the knees and he's going to go down. And then it's all over. Like someone's going to wrestle that off him, fire it. Oh, it's hot pepper sauce. Game over.
Yeah.
Overall fighting ability. Does he have his guitar? Because I think swinging the guitar around is
I
going to be
reckon
more of a...
gun is the first option. The bluff is the first option. Guitar's hanging over his shoulder.
Yeah. I'm happy to say, because on the poster, he has the gun and guitar over his back. So I think
That's what he is. That's how he comes into the fight.
That's how he's entering the fight. And everyone's like, oh shit, machine gun. So, but he doesn't really fight in this.
He gets
Fights
hit
happen.
a couple of times.
Yeah.
And doesn't take them very well.
No. So we can't say he's at top of the list.
He's not
because we
top
don't
of the
see him
list.
win any, let alone a naked shower fight, as we've said many times.
He's going to lose because naked shower fights
are the most intense fights.
If you're getting a water pistol pointed at you,
you fought naked in the shower. You didn't give a shit.
You don't give one fuck.
You don't care if it's a gun. You'll just take the bullet and keep running.
Yeah.
So
you can't beat naked shower fights.
Is he beating Link the Caveman?
Link
Probably
the Caveman
not.
doesn't know what a gun is.
Exactly. So he's just barreling straight towards him.
He's barreling straight towards him too. Link the Caveman would get affected quite a lot by hot sauce in the eyes because that would be a massive culture shock, like straight away.
That's the worst thing about getting hot pepper sauce in your eyes.
Yeah.
Is
like,
the cultural element.
He's never had spice in his eyes before, or spice whatsoever. So he'd get that fragrance as well. That fragrance.
He's
of hot
as
sauce,
distressed by.
This hurts, but also delicious.
Well, he's as distressed by the bit of it that got in his mouth. He's like, whatever this is, I don't even know. Okay. Presumed guilty. He's winning prison fights.
Yeah, see.
And he's more of like a street tough.
I think he's not going to be presumed guilty either.
No. Dog fight, brackets more like dog shit.
Fucking
he's a Marine.
Yeah, but fuck that. I want to punish him because he was in that movie.
I think rock and roll guy would beat clean cut Marine guy. Because Marine guy, I feel like Marine or sailor, I should be saying, little sailor man. He's going to be out. He's going to be throwing haymakers, right? Mm-hmm. Airhead, rock and roll.
He does that boxing where it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but we're doing it in the studio right now.
He's fighting with honor. Airhead's rock and roll. He's going to come in there with some street moves, stamp on your foot, and just like grab your ear and pull it. Like he won't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think he might beat him.
And also has the access to hot sauce and a guitar weapon.
He's beating Harvard McHarvard from With Honors.
Definitely beating Harvard McHarvard.
He's beating Malcolm McDowell, played by Brendan Fraser from Younger and Younger. Clockwork Orange. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Everybody is beating
That's a long walk.
Fucking piece of shit. He's also beating Lacrosse Kid too.
Lacrosse Kid and $20. Yeah. Okay. So, wow. It's number 5 on both lists.
Rock. That's what rock's about. Being middle of the field.
Being right in the middle.
That's rock and roll.
Yes. Being medium. If it's one thing people who love rock and roll hate, it's the extremes.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week with In the Army Now. No? Yes. With our final Pauly Shore excursion. In the Army Now. To close our Pauly Shore trilogy. It'll be sad to move on, but we'll be fine. Anything else to add, Isaac?
No. Just that I'm a little afraid of watching that movie.
Should we watch it together?
Probably.
Okay. That's it, everyone. Come see my show. Google Ravenous and my name, and you'll probably find it. Or just text me. And we'll be back next time. No, hang on. Join us on our next episode for more exceptional theft of your time.